When I was 23, I would get extremely cold, breathing would become difficult, and sometimes I couldn't understand why this was happening and started to worry what's wrong with me. I loved my job as an editor at a well-established fashion magazine. I had a boyfriend who I loved. My life was great. I had nothing to worry about. I am healthy, I thought. The first time it happened was during a walk in the woods with my boyfriend. Not exactly a place where you'd expect to have one. I began to hyperventilate and everything around me started to spin. Altogether, it probably lasted less than 10 minutes, but it felt like it went on forever. I had never experienced anything like this. It felt like I was choking. My boyfriend managed to sit me down on a bench, and I looked at him anxiously and began to wonder, what's wrong with me? At night, when I was lying in bed, I kept worrying. Only the thought of having one of these at work stressed me out completely. I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of my colleagues, let alone my boss. So I Googled everything I could possibly find about hyperventilation before making an appointment with the doctor. He asked me if there were any tensions in my relationships or at work that could cause me to be stressed. I told him that everything was going well, just that recently it was becoming harder for me to sleep, so I was tired more often. He listened to my heartbeat and checked my lungs and said everything sounded fine, but that I should take it a bit easier at work. He said there was no need to prescribe me any sleeping pills. 10 minutes later, I was standing outside and feeling clueless. Taking it easy? I had a high-intensity job. Being an editor meant constantly working against very tight timings. On top of this, we were short of staff, meaning I often had to work late. I was ambitious and didn't want to let my boss down. If he saw how hard I was working, then maybe he would consider me for a promotion. I needed to push myself. Where am I? I was looking into the eyes of my very worried mother. I was lying, drenched in my own sweat, on her living room floor. She was dabbing my face with a cold washcloth. "You fainted?" she said. "What is going on with you?" I couldn't hold back my tears, and I leaned into her. I told her everything about my restlessness and my visit to the doctor. Upon her advice, I decided to visit a physician. She was really friendly and attentive towards me, taking the time to listen to everything that I thought was wrong with me. She wanted to know how much and exactly what I was eating. What does that have to do with anything, I thought? She asked me to keep a journal of everything I ate per day. She weighed me and did a blood test. I also needed to complete an extensive questionnaire, she said. It was called the Braverman Test. The Braverman Test, named after the American doctor and researcher Dr. Eric Braverman, indicates a shortage or an oversupply of neurotransmitters. These neurotransmitters send chemical messages to allow our neurons to communicate with each other. The 4 key transmitters are dopamine, acetylcholine, GABA, and serotonin. They are responsible for evoking certain emotions, such as anxiousness or happiness. We obtain these neurotransmitters through the food we eat. It all started to make sense as to why I had to keep a diet journal. I began to answer the questions and was intrigued to find out what my results were going to be. After 2 weeks of carefully noting down everything I was eating, I started to realize that I wasn't eating as healthy as I thought I was. Whenever I worked overtime, we would usually order a pizza to the office. And whenever I came home late, I would usually just grab a ready meal from the freezer because I was too tired to cook anything myself. There were so many options in the supermarkets. Salmon with broccoli, rosemary chicken and rice. It all looked and sounded very healthy on the packaging. Little did I know. My physician wasn't surprised when I showed her what 2 weeks of my diet consisted of. She said, "Most people like to think that they are eating healthy, but what they forget is that most of our food contains a lot of sugars and fats that causes small inflammations within the body. You don't necessarily notice, but these inflammations, although minor, are there every day in your blood vessels and organs. The effect of this is almost as bad as smoking. They disrupt the biochemistry in your body, causing it to slowly get more worn out. Through this, you can get really sick, and if you're not careful, it can lead to a burnout." My results indicated that I had a shortage of GABA and serotonin. A long-term shortage of these two neurotransmitters triggers symptoms of tiredness, depression, insomnia, and stress. You should start with trying to eat 3 different types of vegetables per day, she told me. It would be best if these vegetables were organic. These are much healthier as they don't consist of as much pesticides, which are also harmful to the body. It is also important that you get moving. Exercise isn't just good for keeping in shape. It triggers the body to produce dopamine and automatically makes you happier. I could never have imagined how her advice would turn my life around. Initially, it was difficult to eat healthier. Every time I would walk through the supermarket, I would get cravings from my favorite chocolate or pack of crisps. I had to resist the urge of buying ready meals for when I would come home late. But after a few weeks of avoiding all these temptations, I had found this new sense of self-control and was really starting to enjoy eating healthier. I bought myself a fitness watch and was able to see how many calories I was consuming and using. In the morning, I would drink 3 glasses of water and eat an apple or banana, and every other day I would make oatmeal for breakfast. For dinner, I would have fresh, organic meat and vegetables. I stopped eating pasta, rice, and other carbs, and I definitely was not buying any prepackaged foods anymore. The results were phenomenal. My hyperventilation was getting better. After a few weeks, my breathing was completely normal. I couldn't believe it. I felt stronger, was sleeping much better, and had plenty of energy, which let me deal with the stressful situations at work in a much more effective and healthier way. I noticed that my hair was more shiny, and my skin got that healthy, bright glow that I used to have before I got sick. I have learned to listen to my body and figured out that there was a whole lot of things I actually could do myself without medication or doctors. I have never known how much there is to gain from healthy food and vitamins. Saying goodbye to junk food wasn't easy, but it was worth it because I am now living a healthy, happy, and active life, feeling so much better.